good afternoon or good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Mannion, and I am the program director here at Standard Imaging, and I also do double duty as the product manager of StructSure AI QA. It's an exciting product that I think you're going to find really interesting, and hopefully it's something you'll be able to use in your clinic. So what what is StructSure AI QA? Well, first of all, it is the first quality assurance software for autoseg contouring engines. Okay, so it's a fast, intuitive application that allows users to objectively compare anatomical contours generated by algorithms produced by AI engines, AI contouring engines, or of course just humans. To your own library of standards, some gold standards that you put together. It provides comprehensive comparison metrics. It also provides a handy batch analysis engine or utility that allows you to calculate hundreds of data sets and thousands of structures in minutes. The software allows you to drill down to investigate failing cases, both from just a visual standpoint and objectively, and produces formal reports to put on file as you test new models or new AI engines, or just to assess your staff's contouring skills as well. Let me talk just a little bit about AI-based auto-segmentation. So when it first came out, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so, it wasn't all that good. And physicists were hesitant to adopt it. But since that time, that's all changed. And it's rapidly being adopted across the industry. So now, physicists and physicians who are adopting this really need to say to themselves, hey, I got this great auto seg engine, so how do I do acceptance testing? Or how do I make sure everything's okay? And here's why StructSure AI QA is important to you right now. So first of all, you use it to evaluate an auto seg engine for purchase. So let's say ideally, hopefully you would be able to get a temporary license for an autoseg engine that you want to try out. Okay, StructSure AI QA would be the perfect tool to organize and produce objective evidence. Is the Electa model working best? Or no, I want to check it against the Varian model. Or, there's tons of third-party companies that are starting to pop up in the industry and are doing really good work, like, Limbus AI or, any other half dozen or so AI seg companies that are emerging. Again, use StructSure AI QA. Use it before you buy a autoseg engine, and that way you can make good buying decisions. Acceptance testing, another reason why StructSure AI QA is important to you. Use it for commissioning or acceptance testing. Now you got this new autoseg engine, great. So and now let's go and figure out where we trust it and maybe where we don't trust it. Let's say there's certain organs of the model, they trust more than others. The user's going to have to make those kinds of decisions. It would be extremely inefficient to ask them to look at the results and ask, hey, do you like them or not? That's not scientific. And it doesn't lend itself to automation, as well as inefficient. And of course, it's subjective. So again, use it before you buy an autoseg engine to do some evaluations, kind of kick the tires so you can see what works best, what doesn't. And then, of course, as you now bring it into the clinic, you're using it for acceptance testing. And then finally, vendor updates. Vendors are going to be constantly coming out with new models and updates. It's going to be very much like DOS engines these days, but it'll be far more rapid. There's going to be changes continually, and they're releasing, say, hey, our model 2.5, it includes small bowel. So it could be in an existing, or so it could be, let's say, an existing model that has more organs, or maybe it's a new model for the, the body site, or maybe it's just a new model that supports a new imaging modality. All these updates are going to be coming. Like say, hey, we have a head and neck for CT, and we just released the MR for the brain. Great. With any new release, you want to check to see, how is the software performing? First of all, is it doing those new modalities well? And number two, gee, did it break something along the way? You know how software is. Sometimes, they'll do a big update and whatnot, and what you thought worked really, really well for the longest time, all of a sudden you're getting weird results out of it. It's like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. So, those are really good for, again, checking to see, for regression testing. If any new release, you want to do some regression testing. So, hey, let's take a second here and let's get into it a little bit. Start. So, StructSure AI QA, as you can see here, I hope everybody can see that screen. We're looking right at the application now. It's a simple desktop app, okay? And it's very simple to use. It's really it's a breeze. So let's start here. So first of all, we want to do is we want to load the data. So what are we going to load? Well, first of all, we're going to load the CT set. So here I've got a set of common, this is a CT set that I did contours against using my own gold standards. And then I've got another set of contours that, let's say, an AI engine did, or just one of the persons on staff. And so first of all, I bring in the CT set. I'll grab those set of images and load them in. And there they are. Awesome. Okay, so now I select my primary set. This is the contouring set, the contouring file that is our gold standard. So we use the primary set as our gold standard. And then that loads all this in, and it gives us some nice information here. For example, here are all the structures that I found here. It says StructSure AI QA. I found all of these. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to move on to the next structure set, and this is what the one you're going to compare against. This would be like an AI engine or just, again, a human being. And so, okay, we load these in. Same thing here. Gives you some nice little metric, little bit of demographic information. Here's all the regions of interest, that are contours that I found. But right here are all the matches that I found. So here, I matched my brainstem with this brainstem, et cetera. Left lung, right lung, left parotid, right parotid, et cetera, et cetera. So here are all the matches. It will only do matches against things that it can match against. Anything else, it won't do any sort of metrics on. So let's go ahead and now load that into the actual application itself, and look what we have here. We got a real interesting screen. Up on the upper left here, we've got kind of a navigation plane. It kind of gives you from the 10,000 foot level of here's where you are looking at what this horizontal line relates to the larger view on the right-hand side. Down here, we have all those regions of interest that were matched. Okay, it has a little scroll bar next to it here. So all of those, and they're color coded and all that sort of thing. And then on the right hand side is we have the actual CT sets that we can move up and down from. And you notice on the right hand side here, I can move that along as well. Here, I'm going to go to more of an interesting area for us. Let's get a little further in. Come around here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Anyway, so what do we have here? So here's our little legend on the left-hand side here and the right-hand side. And you can see things are color coded. So the left and right parotid, there's a green here and more of like an orange, I guess, over on this side. And if you look closely, and I don't know if you can see this real well from this particular, from a WebEx type of setting, but here we have the primary, so that's the solid line here, if you can see that, and it shows this is what your gold standard did. This is how it contoured this, this particular organ. The dotted or the dashed line is where the AI engine or the other person This is how they did the contour. You can kind of see that right here where it's dashed, and even in here where it's dashed, and maybe even here a little bit. Okay, great. So that gives us a little sense, and we can move up and down here and take a look at things, and that's all fabulous. But let's see if we can't get a little, that's nice for a visual inspection, but let's actually try to get some metrics across that. So I'm going to, again, go back over here to the left-hand side in this region of interest. And again, this is the list of all the things that were common between the two contouring sets. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push a metric on it. And right now we have a default linear metric. And let me just bring that up here just for a second. All right. And your default, this would be this one right here. As you can see, it's basically a way to score your, this is all user settable, and I'll get into this just in a minute, a little bit further into it. But you can decide how, what kind of, how you plan to evaluate, your metrics in terms of, how far off were they, or too much or not enough. The left side here is blue. That means, what did the AI engine miss that the gold standard said, hey, I drew my region, my contour around this region of interest, and the AI engine missed a bunch, and so here's where I could kind of do like this penalty score here, or up on the right here, extra voxel penalty, meaning my gold standard contour. I have it all set up right here, but for whatever reason, the AI gave me a lot of extra. It actually went beyond what the gold standard was. And so again, I can set up that kind of penalty as well here. And again, out of the box, you get this default one, but you can put your own together. As you can see here, you can do different types of scoring systems, et cetera, just, to your heart's content, that kind of a thing. So I'll get out of that. So anyway, so we're ready to do this. So I'll hit the calculate button and presto change over there. And let's take a look here. Notice here that where it's green, this is where there is agreement. Okay, so we have good agreement, pretty good agreement on the left and right per audit, but most here, here is where this blue area here says that the gold standard, your gold standard actually drew it way out here, and for whatever reason, the one that you're comparing against, AI or human, actually missed it and just ended right here. So this is a whole section here that it missed. On this particular one, again, notice that where they're common, but on this particular one, for whatever reason, the AI engine decided it was going to go out further. It was actually gave extra to more it brought the contour out farther. And then right here, you'll see the same thing where it seemed to have missed it. So that's nice for a visual inspection. This is very, very handy just to take a look at. By the way, just down here on the left-hand side, you can see that you have a nice little opaque windowing leveling thing here. So that way, if you want to go, hey, great, I just did all this, but I want to take a look to see, what was underneath there? Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay, great. Yeah, I can put it back down. Okay, that sort of thing. But again, from a visual inspection, it's great. Okay, so, but let's now move on to some metrics. And so as we hit the metrics tab here, you can see what we have. Again, on the left-hand side, here is that list of agreeing regions of interest, just same as the one here on the left-hand side. Okay, and then along the top here, this for each column we have some interesting metrics here. So volume 1, that's your gold standard. Volume 2, that's the one you're comparing against. So for this particular one, the very first one, the CTV at 1, basically it's saying, yep, the gold standard detected 172.52 cubic centimeters of voxels or volume. Okay, on the one that you're comparing against, be it the AI Autoseg or a human being, it detected 172.388. So what's common between them in cubic centimeters? This value. what's missing, meaning what on that blue area. See, maybe I can get one that shows that a little bit better. Here we go. You see here we also do this in a histogram on the bottom here, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But on blue, if you recall, that is where the autoseg engine or the human being, they missed it. They just completely missed it. Where the gold standard says, yeah, I drew it to this much and you drew something else or something smaller. So I completely missed it. So it'll show the missing. It'll also show extra. And so maybe I can get a better, here we go, more extra. And here's a good one, of course, on extra. Here we go. And so, yeah, 0.8184 cubic centimeters. Okay, then of course, we have a dice coefficient. All righty. Again, you guys know what that is. And then also the max difference, okay? And, it's basically to show the maximum difference found, in the structure, between one structure and the next. It uses something called the Hausdorff model. Okay. And then finally, on the right-hand side here, this is that, again, reminding you which metric it used for this particular region of interest. Okay. And that was, again, going back to, I'll go back to that one more time. Here we go. And so, yeah, this was the exponential. Here we go. And so that's what those curves look like. And that's what the number it came up with then. Okay. And again, these are all user settable. I could go back to linear default. That's what most of them are, of course. And you could, apply them, if say you wanted to go, hey, I want to go and apply this to, this, I'm going to come out of that and say, you know what, I really should have applied not the default linear to this left parotid, but I should have done something else. You could go ahead and do that. You just, you'd have to come back out of this, load it back in again, and then just reset. Or actually what you do is right here on the left-hand side, you can change it to which one you want, and then hit the calculate button again. Presto change-o, there it is. And so now you've got, you changed it for whatever types of metric, scoring that you're looking for. On the right-hand side here, again, some really nice information for you that you can use to, copy and paste into a CSV file or an Excel file for doing your own work on it if you wish. Again, it provides you all the information that you see up here, as well as right down here, it'll also give you slice by slice some great metrics on that as well. And so especially if you've got to do like a deep dive, and that sort of thing, you could just pull that in and take a look at that data all on your own. Okay. StructSure AI QA will provide some really nice metrics, or I'm sorry, full reports. So you can see you can do a full report. I won't do that right now because it takes a bit to put together. But again, it's basically as what you see is what you get with all these metrics. If you want all of these, on this particular thing, so I get every one of these. Plus, it will also give you thumbnails of each of the of the images, so you can again put that into your report. All kinds of great stuff right there. Or if you're just looking for just a quick one-pager, okay, all great. Then we have something called batch analysis that I mentioned earlier. And again, let's say you've got a whole bunch of, hey, I've got gold data for this particular structure set. I've got another set for this one, that one, this one. I've got 100 of these things, and doing this onesie twosie types of stuff on the just doing the way I just went through the demo for would take a long time. So what you can do is you can set things up to do a batch analysis. Now it's basically a utility that you use. Okay, you won't see a big visual thing like this, but what you will see is, well, what you do is you take a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet, and you save it as a .csv file. And then what you do is there can be two columns. Column number one is basically your gold set. This is your contours from the contour file that you're going to point to, give it the full file path name and all of that. And that's in column number one. and then the one you want to compare it against, you put that in column number 2. So you just do that, rinse and repeat for as many as you want, all the way down. You bring that into the system, it does all the calculations, and basically you will end up, let me grab that real quick, if I can find it here. Well, I had it. Hang on a second. Give me just a moment. Oh, right, never mind. It'll look like this, where, again, as you can see, here are all the different, things that are found. Here, again, this is very reminiscent of what you saw on that metrics page. Provides you all of the metrics, and it's very rich with data. Again, you could do just hundreds and hundreds of these things, and then if you want, using Excel, you can come up with your own graphs and things like that. At a later version, we plan to get this into more of the application, so you don't have to go through all this. But for right now, this is actually a great little tool, especially if you're doing more than just like a couple at a time or something like that, where you really just want to get a whole bunch of a huge batch done in a moment's notice. So. So again, going back to so why is StructSure? Here we go. Why is StructSure a great application to get? Again, it's you buy it before you're thinking about buying. As you're evaluating autoseg engines. You want to use it before you want to use it before you buy it. So use it to to take a look at these things and see how well it's doing, how well it's not doing against your gold standards. Then once you buy an autoseg engine, you can then use it to do commissioning with it. Okay, we've got this thing in here now. We're going to start setting it up, and now we're going to start taking a look at what structures does it do really well. What structures not so great, and so that we know which ones to avoid, that kind of thing. Or what we know, maybe not avoid so much, but just what we know we have to kind of be very careful with. And then number 3, as autoseg contouring engines constantly are giving updates, you can use StructSure AI QA to do your regression testing. Hey, they added this new structure? Does it work? Yes, it does. Or nah, not so great. Or gee, it works great, but that other thing we had, it broke now. What's going on with that? So again, and the good news is that StructSure AI QA is quantitative. It gives you very solid metrics that you can count on. So that concludes today's demonstration of StructSure AI QA. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your local salesperson in your region, at sales@standardimaging.com, or please feel free to give me a jingle or just shoot me an email at jmannion@standardimaging.com if you have any other questions or would like maybe a demo of it or anything like that. We can get this to you, and you can, maybe you kick the tires on this thing as well. So thank you all very much for your time. Again, I look forward to any questions that you may have, but have a great rest of your day and a great time at AAPM. Thank you.